If you only look at the GDP, you may misunderstand China, because the real change is not just how much China has growth, but what China actually does inside the global system. So instead of focusing on headline numbers, we took a different approach. We looked at China's trade data from 2000 to 2025 and broke it down every 5 years, not by total volume and not by growth rates, but by two very simple questions: what China sells to the world and what China buys from the world. Because those two things tell you almost everything. And what a country exports defines how it makes money, and what it imports reveals what it still depends on. Now, let's start with exports. Back in 2000, China's export structure was dominated by labor-intensive products, things like clothing, shoes, and bags, and which together accounted for more than 65% of total exports, while high-tech products made up less than 5%. That tells you something very clear. At that time, China was participating in the global economy primarily through labor. Now, fast forward to 2025, and the structure looks completely different. The machinery and electronics products now accounted for around 66%, high-tech products at another 26%, which means that together they make up more than 90% of total exports. And more importantly, new industries such as batteries, solar panels, and electric vehicles now representing over 30% of their own. So this is not just growth. This is a transformation in what China actually produces, from labor to manufacturing to technology and increasingly to system. Now let's look at imports. In 2000, China was importing large amounts of machinery, equipment, and semiconductors, with machinery alone accounting for over 40%, and semiconductors roughly 25%. In other words, China was effectively buying capability it needed external technology to build its industrial base. But by 2025, the structure begins to shift. China is still importing chips, but a much larger share of imports is now concentrated in raw materials: iron oil, copper, lithium, and many other mineral products. And that tells you something fundamental. China is no longer primarily buying capability. It is sourcing resources to support a system it has already built. Now, if you put these two changes together, a much clearer picture begins to emerge. Exports have moved from labor to manufacturing to system, while imports have shifted from capability to resources. And that led to a very different conclusion. China didn't just grow, it changes its role in global system from a participant to something much closer to an organizer. And once you start to see it this way, a new side of a question naturally follows. Why does import structure reveals dependency? What happens when a country moves into supply chain controls? How does energy reshape the balance of power, and why are resources becoming the next constraint? We will break this down one by one in the next episodes, because what happened over the past 25 years is not just economic growth, it is a structural shift in how the global system actually works.